Hi Tom, John here. I am on top of Millie and I wanted to make a little video log of what we're seeing up here so you can see what I'm seeing and we can have a conversation about some things. So starting from the front, the AC cover here. First, this is not a waterproof cover here. You can see the vents in the side. So there are some incidental cracks here. There's a close-up of one there. And there's a few of these. I don't think those are of concern. And without taking this all apart, I can't really see much of what's going on there in terms of the seal below that. But I don't see anything concerning. So I would propose there's really nothing for me to do here because I don't feel like I'm going to take this AC unit apart. Although, to be determined, right? So this is the antenna. I can see there's all kinds of caulking here that, looks loosish. There's the wire right there. I would with your approval, if we're not using this antenna, I would just dismantle it and, patch it up and call it a day. But we can talk about that as well. I don't see any huge signs of leakage. There's just, again, some cracks in the little sealant around the edges of this plate that holds it on. So turning around now, I'm looking at the front leading edge here. We've got this transition between the rubber roof, which is, of course, all this stuff here. And you can see, obviously, it's been painted over with the white rubber paint. And it transitions then from here to rubber to just aluminum. And this bar here, if you just kind of travel along the edge of it, again, it's just some sealant along the edge there. It needs to be touched up. So now taking the downside view, looking towards the back of Millie, there are 5 vent covers. So one on the left, and then there's 3 that are the same. Those are those, crank up vents. And the vent covers themselves are all elevated off the roof. So I'll show you what that looks like under the hood there. And of course the skylight, I think that's in the bathroom, over the shower, if I recall. That's the one that concerns me the most. So we'll look at that in more detail. All right, hold on a second. So I'm looking at one of these vent covers here, and you can see they're just, there's 4 bolts, and it is kind of elevated off the roof. So I was curious what's really going on under there, and does this all need to be somehow sealed and covered? So I popped these screws off and looked, and I think you'll agree with me when I show you that. Hold on a second. Okay, I'm on the back one now, and I already popped off the 4 little nuts that hold this on. So I'm just lifting it up so you can see as well. And you can see there's a good 2-inch aluminum, what do you call that, a riser. So this is an entirely continuous piece here, and it's flashed here. So what I would think I would do is just take these covers off and just inspect and repair this edge here as needed. But this edge on the PVC here is not a waterproof seal. So that's what I needed to see for myself. But, since we have no leaks, these seem to be in pretty good shape. But I would just touch them up with some sealant right around this edge here, where the metal attaches to the rubber roof. This looks to be in pretty decent shape, actually. I don't see anything, like staring at me that says, oh my God, this is horrible. It's just dirty right now. All right, so I'm going to assume that all 3 of these vent covers are similar. All right, now I'm looking at the vent. I believe it's over the kitchen range. I'm actually not sure what this is for, but I'm looking at the sealant right around this edge here. It's otherwise in good shape. It's not coming up anywhere all the way around. It was really dirty, so I kind of cleaned this up a little bit to see it. But in a few places I can see it's, you know, just starting to come separating there. So I would propose to just peel this edge off right here and reseal it. And of course I saved the worst for the last here. This is the, I believe, the skylight over the shower. And so this is, I think, in the worst shape. Let me get in here. You can see this is just all coming up here. But it's interesting since, you know, we're not having any leaks. So I'm thinking that there's some sort of pressure tape or something. I mean, if water was getting in there and penetrating it, we would see some leaks downstairs, and we don't. So this is the worst one, like I said, and I'm thinking I would just tear this off as best as I can. So the question then becomes, do I just, you know, reseal around all this stuff? And I'm going to do some more research, but I've seen some things on the internet about essentially butyl tape. And it's what you use for rubber roofs. And it's just like, you know, maybe 3 or 4 inches wide. And I've seen some videos where guys are doing this. You heat the surface up with your heat gun. Just get it nice and, you know, tacky so you get a good seal. And you just kind of go around this with the tape. And it's not known as, you know, like a permanent fix, but that's what we'll talk about is, you know, given that this guy is covered for, you know, 8 months out of the year, it might be just fine. So that's it. There's actually a little crack here. So I'm just a little surprised that we haven't had some leaks, because I mean, that looks pretty shady, right? You can see right in there. All right, so I will get this video to you. Oh, one more thing. Hold on a second. Okay, right now I'm looking at the flanges on the top for the ladder. You probably noticed that this ladder is a little bit wobbly, not so much on the verticals, but, you know, on the horizontals, that one. And then as I was coming up today, this one went really wobbly, and look what's happening. It's just coming right out of there. So I'll see what I can do to find a new flange here without having to replace the whole ladder. But just keep the thought that it's possible that we should just stop using the ladder. Now I'm climbing up here carefully. You know, the bolts on my verticals really support my weight, and as I'm coming up to the top here, I'm just putting as little pressure as I can on this one for sure, and, you know, not much on this one. So with some care, we can still use it, but I just want you to be totally aware this ladder is not fully intact. Okay, following along that same idea on the back edge here. We've got a transition from the rubber roof, a little sealant here, and then transitioning to this aluminum piece here. This looks wonky. I mean, there's little cracks in it all over the place, right? Just kind of run my phone along here so you can see it. So, rubber, sealant, and then aluminum. Not so bad there. And then on the edges, it looks worse. So for this, actually, there's more. As this comes around, this is all opening up here as well, around this trim piece here. And even worse on the other side. Let me go back there. I'm not sure where all this water is going that's getting in there, but there's an outright hole right here. Look at that. Hello. So what I'm thinking is, rather than trying to, you know, clean all this with denatured alcohol and, you know, whatever else we would use, and putting more of this, you know, caulk type sealant, once again, I'm thinking, you know, the roofing tape, it's self-stick, and I would run it, say, from about as far back as I can, and then over to the clean edge. of the aluminum. So the aluminum over here, if you go past the edge, it's a super nice, clean finish. There's not much to prep it for any kind of tape or sealant. One of the things here that I want to talk to you about is, what we're seeing here on the rubber roof. I've looked around and I don't see any huge places where like the rubber is like cut or sliced. So I think it's evident that a rubber roof is intact and it's not in horrible shape. What we're seeing here is just, the previous attempt at putting a new rubber cover on it, whether it was sprayed or rolled or painted, I don't know. And that's all just, coming up. So I have to do some more research about how to apply, or even if to apply, another layer of, say, rubber over the original rubber roof. And if so, then how do I prep this? This sort of comes up with some friction. I'm doing it right now, you can see it. And with soap and water, it came up pretty good. Maybe a pressure washer would help. But my plan would be to do whatever replacement of sealant around the edges of these vents and any kind of stuff like around anything poking up. Do that stuff first, and then of course the paint would be the last thing if we do that. So just to review, I'm in the back now looking forward. We've got 1 and then number 2 and number 3 big vents over those little openable vent covers, I guess these are. As bad as this looks sometimes, it's I don't think there's a lot of work there. So I would just take those covers off, inspect, patch up the sealant that's there, replace as necessary. Might not even need to scrape all the old stuff off. The 2 areas of greater concern are this skylight and somehow if we're going to do something with the ladder. But and then of course looking at the back and the front, just whether we're using a caulk type sealant or rubber roofing like butyl tape. We'll have to decide what that looks like. So I'm going to just take one more look here, just going towards the edge here, going around the corner here. So this is where it transitions then to from rubber, and there's a, what is this, aluminum rail here, and then it just transitions to the side, right? I'm thinking I would just, there's no sealant here right now at all. There's no caulk or anything. I'm not sure it needs it, but I could easily put a bead of silicone just right along the edge here if we wanted to. But I don't see any specific repair to be done other than just noting that there's an edge there that water could get in. All right, I will talk to you about all of this and we'll come up with a plan. I'll be able to get some of this work done this fall yet. I'm thinking I'll attack that skylight first, since that's the one that concerns me the most, since I can't see underneath it, what's going on in terms of pushing the water out from, or preventing the water from getting inside. I can't see it like I can on this guy right here. So I'm not concerned about these, right? So the skylight and the ladder, and then the front and back leading edges. All right.